My next priority is building union networks in transnational companies. In order to build a counterweight to transnational companies, we have to set up functioning networks and mechanisms to ensure joint union action and contacts with the real decision makers within the enterprises. IMF has a number of World Company Council, some of which meet sometimes, but mostly not at all. In addition, there are 4 employee committees funded by the companies based on an agreement. Establishing more such formalized bodies for cooperation and consultation is one goal. We need to start by setting up a number of trade union networks in these companies. When possible, the networks should also cover the suppliers. We will set up a working group after the Congress to develop guidelines for the functioning and coordination of these networks and to make sure that the networks always remain under trade union control. By the way, in a world with borderless information technology, we have to do this. If the trade unions cannot offer this service to their members, active local people, sometimes non-union, will do it themselves. Networks involving union officers and shop stewards in the exchange of information on company strategies, bargaining issues on a regular basis, and taking joint action when needed. They will also be helpful for organizing those plants that don't still have a union, and from preventing companies from pitting workers in different plants against each other. As an example, just some days ago here in Gothenburg, we organized a meeting of global unions of General Motors, Opel and Fiat. Right in the middle of the talks of the future for these companies, the trade unions had the chance to discuss a joint strategy. Networks can also create pressure for new international framework agreements and other global agreements. The health and safety agreement with ArcelorMittal was a trailblazer. Similar agreements on health and safety, training, equality, consultation, information, and restructuring processes based on clear mandates from affiliates would enhance the legitimacy of the IMF as a global actor. And finally, I have to talk about communication, economy, and structures. My IMF will be a democratic, open, and inclusive organization while being at the same time functionally and financially efficient. In addition to being your General Secretary, I will become your General Spammer. In all regions, I promise the affiliates will receive a lot of information from the headquarters and regional offices on a regular basis. You will be consulted in good time about the priorities for action, union-building projects. Improved communication should also encourage you to provide information and feedback to the headquarters and regional offices and promote a more bottom-up approach and a two-way information flow. I want to highlight the role of the executive committee members. And we have a very small executive committee, only 25 members, elected by you yesterday. And they are the representatives of the regions. So that's why the members should make contacts, communicate regularly with affiliates in their regions and report back. The IMF will increase the use of existing expertise and resources of the affiliates on example areas such as health and safety, industrial policy, and collective bargaining. The question of a better regional balance is an issue. Yesterday, you adopted a change in the IMF rules to enlarge the Finance Committee. I accept the Executive Committee to fill these posts, these 2 new posts, with developing country representatives today. We will make efforts to recruit new personnel from developing countries to the headquarters in the coming years. An IMF training program for young leaders, future leaders, and international actors will increase the skills and capacities within the IMF family. We will offer internships in the IMF headquarters for shorter periods of time. Unfortunately, IMF finances are not on a sustainable basis. Affiliation fees cover only 75% of operating expenses, and we have seen major deficits in recent annual accounts. This cannot continue. I will have to have a very close look at our expenses to concentrate on our real priorities and looking for also for new income. We also need to look at our structures. I see a global union federation for industrial workers of the world as a sensible middle-term goal. It could become a stronger political voice and a more powerful counterpart to transnational companies throughout the cross-sectoral supplier chains. There have been changes in industrial structures, there have been mergers at the national level. Joining our forces would help us reduce overlapping work and strengthen our financial base. Now, last Friday, the IMF Executive Committee endorsed a declaration of intent signed in March by the President and General Secretaries of the IMF, of the ICM of the chemical and energy workers, and the ITG of the textile workers. This declaration calls upon the internationals to increase concrete cooperation on topical issues and to set up a task force to prepare the way towards a joint global union federation for industrial workers. However, structures are sensitive questions. It is important to carry out this process step by step in an open and transparent process with sufficient times and discussions at the Executive Committee and in the regions based on proper documentation, analysis and mandates. We need everybody on board. But we need to look at our structures also at the national level, and this will be your task. The draft IMF action program says as follows: our priority is building strong national unions that are capable of achieving real gains through collective bargaining by organizing the unorganized, striving for trade union unity at the national level. Today, we are masters of division. We are capable of dividing our forces on so many ways, based on political preferences, religion, the material our workers are holding in their hands, or personal groups they represent. True, some of the limitations are posed by legislation that is meant to weaken unions, but in most cases the division is man-made. The capitalists definitely laugh all their way to the bank. Put your hands on your heart. If today you had to build up your national trade union structures from scratch, would they look like they do today? Do you think your existing structures are the best ones to serve the interest of the working class? No, I thought so. I respect the fact that some of the structural problems have their deep roots in traditions and history. Pluralism is a nice word, but too often it's synonymous to division. I like football. Instead of watching where the ball has been, I prefer watching where the ball is going. So I plead to you, when you go back home, please have a serious look at your structures to see whether there's something you can do to build the structures that are capable of carrying out the program that this Congress will adopt.